From his success as a 7-time champion with a record 103 wins to his undisputed status as one of the greatest names in F1, Lewis Hamilton has definitely had quite the career, but it looks like his shot at making F1 history might just come crashing down, and his team might be to blame. Hamilton's fall from grace began in 2021 after a controversially officiated loss against Max Verstappen. The Briton was one lap away from a shot at his 8th championship when an infamous safety car resulted in him losing the title to his Dutch rival. Despite the loss, Hamilton remained optimistic. What was one loss to the king of the grid? Plus, he always had next year, didn't he? I guess not. I assume the narrow loss would have created more motivation to win, but it was only the beginning of a 25-race winless streak. It is marked as the longest winless streak of his career so far. The 2022 season was perhaps his worst career-wise. This was his first season without a win or pole position. He was in 6th place in the championship, which was his lowest finish to date. This might have been unfamiliar territory for someone used to sweeping the field, but Hamilton stayed rather gracious about his abysmal performance. I have to say that it would have been nice to have a win, but the man himself says that this year was much stronger in terms of his own growth, and that's all that counts, right? He quotes the year as a team-building exercise and is grateful that his team pulled through with unity. But why was this such a terrible year for the team? There are a few reasons we can think of. Karun Shandhawk, a Sky News TV presenter, puts forward a possibility. Lewis Hamilton might just be the best driver of his generation, and as a result, he just must have been demotivated. He seemed to be a reflection of Senna in 1993. No one could fault him for losing his drive after a loss that was more of a miscalculation than a lack of merit. It wasn't until Barcelona that he woke up from his lethargy. But if this lethargy was temporary, why didn't his performance improve? A large portion of fans believe Mercedes was at fault for this. The team decided to design the car to be sleeker than its rivals. The design choice might have cost them brutally. The W13 was different from the powerhouse the team hoped to be. Pre-season testing supported this claim. Brackley's outfit improved the design for the remaining season, but I have to admit, it was a little too late for the team. Hamilton's junior, George Russell, scored the team's only win. It was rather sad to see all their energy go to waste because of a car design. Even Hamilton himself attests to this. Ultimately, I think we started with a car that we didn't want, and we finished with a car that we didn't want, but we were basically stuck with it. I can't tell you if the lackluster season was because of demotivation or a car that didn't work for them, but Hamilton had made it clear that he was still in the running for a shot at another championship title. I've got to say, his optimism is uncanny. The third time's supposed to be the charm. Hence, we all had hopes that his 2023 season would change his losing trend. But the forecast for the season seems as rainy as ever. And I mean it when I say that hopes were crushed at the season opener in Sakhir when Mercedes was, once again, left in the dust. Hamilton came in 5th, 51 seconds behind Verstappen's lead. Russell followed closely behind the 7th position. With such a sour opening, it doesn't seem like Mercedes is getting out of this slump anytime soon. If you ask me, it seems like the British driver is finally reaching his limit with the team. So we reach our big question that can make or break his shot at F1 history.
I have continued to have a huge belief in and always bet on myself in terms of I know what it takes to deliver, and I think I have an extraordinary relationship with Mercedes that's incredibly deep, and I think there's more than just this racing that we will probably end up doing together, as you're already seeing with this foundation.
Hamilton is still aiming towards the 8th championship title, but does Mercedes have the right tools to help him get it? And with the contract deadline looming up at them, what implications does this have for Hamilton's relationship with his team? The past 2 seasons had fueled rumors about Hamilton switching teams. The driver quickly shut them down and stated that only a catastrophe would prevent him from exiting his stay with Mercedes. This was until he actually hit the track and stumbled upon a few roadblocks. It looks like a catastrophe was waiting to hit. The season opener led to some awareness. Not only was the team left behind by Verstappen's Red Bull, but their customer team Aston Martin also managed to pull forward to earn a podium finish. CEO of the team, Toto Wolff, announced that Mercedes will scrap this season's car and rework a new design to boost performance. But while this may help in the future, it might rule out the team from being a contender for this year's championship trophy. Despite the bad start, Hamilton mostly spoke encouragement towards the team. He said that while the team needs serious work, he has faith that they'll pull together and accelerate. But post-race, Hamilton had some issues he wanted to take up with the team. He blamed the team for not taking his advice about the W14's design and wished that they took accountability for it. It's a question of who knows better, the engineers who have worked their whole lives on creating such designs, or Hamilton, who's driven as many. But it all might just be redundant at this point, because with regards to negotiations, it's Hamilton who sits in the driver's seat, and well deservedly at that, having won the team almost every title since his joining in 2013. If Mercedes wants to stop him from switching teams, they'll have to listen to his demands, and currently, Hamilton's demands are simple. He wants that 8th title before he retires. Don't we all want that for him? I surely do, but that's easier said than done. Hamilton is currently stuck between a rock and a hard place. If he stays with Mercedes, he's looking to miss out on another chance at the 8th title, but if he chooses to leave, he's giving up an expensive contract. After all, the two should have had a give-and-take relationship. One could argue that if Hamilton has given his team recognition, he has cost them just as much, fueled further by the petty public remarks that Hamilton is as good as the car he drives. That sounds like a pretty harsh accusation against a pretty talented driver. Of course, these rumors seem silly and are pointed at a man with such an array of achievements, but his losing streak doesn't help his case. Rather, it might play a part in reducing his prestige in the eyes of both fans and the team. But Mercedes has another alternative in place that could change the trajectory of F1 as we know it.
I think for all of us, we always miss driving, so the break initially feels too short, and then when you get towards the end of it, you're like, okay, I'm ready to go, get back into the action. So, but I definitely maximized and enjoyed it.
Excellent. Good to hear.
Great to hear, yeah.
Aston Martin's exponential improvements, the executives at Mercedes are considering backing them instead. This would be a real blow to the British driver, as it would mean prioritizing not only the customer team, but also Fernando Alonso over him. Alonso is Hamilton's former rival, so just imagine how disappointing it would be if all the attention went to his rival instead of Hamilton. Even though these are only rumors, Hamilton appears frustrated at the slightest suggestion that this season could be his last at Mercedes, which makes me wonder how much of these rumors are rooted in truth. That's all on Lewis Hamilton and the decision he has to make.